out there and shine. God is certainly our master. I don't know about you, but whoever is your master, I'm sure he's doing very well with you to keep you alive this morning. All blessings to him. Good morning, guys. And Johnny is back.
I didn't know we were on air.
We subscribe, of course. I mean, we subscribe to the.
I was listening to Obiano.
We subscribe to the King of Kings. I mean, you can decide what you want to call God, your God, but to me, we call God the Most High God. Okay, all right. And whether we want to give him our money or not, that's none of your spiritual business. You too, when you get your money, choose what you want to use.
Yesterday, I heard Paul Kagame is sacked about 6,000. Do I call them church leaders or men of God? Okay, men of God. And he's now, it is a rule in Rwanda that before you become
a degree in theology.
A degree in theology. Yeah. I was like, I kept pondering over it. And I was like, really? He might have his own reasons for doing that.
These were months ago anyway. But the point is that you find people suddenly come up and say they've been called by God.
Right.
And sometimes you listen to them, you reading your small Bible at home and meditating, you listen to them and you see that the message they are preaching is so inconsistent.
It's what we used to call
from me to you.
Discord.
So the message is like from me to you, and you're wondering
about Discord.
How did God call such a person? God calls things that are not perfect.
Don't talk about them because they are God's people. But I keep saying by their fruit you would know them. So we don't need to go to theology school to know that what the person is preaching is not the sound truth, is not the word of God.
Look,
and I think it's up to time Ghanaians test for themselves, just like how they become very, concerned about the elections and who becomes president. I think they should put that same spirit behind who becomes their church leader.
Look,
he said they're misleading his country.
That's true. Look, if you shroud the matter in spirituality and religiosity, forget about it. You argue and you will not finish.
Get nowhere.
If there's no finality to the point. Now, there's a very popular Bible verse that often is used and attributed to men of God. It says what? Touch not my anointed.
And
of course,
my prophets know
we are all anointed children of God. So it is not restricted to the man of God or the supposed woman of God. It says, touch not my, we are all anointed children of God, unless you don't know where you belong. So it is not a reserve of somebody in color. No.
Okay.
And so their quick response that, oh, touch not my anointed. When you're preaching inconsistencies and you're lifting a bit of Jonah to come and add to Samuel, and you're
says the bank of God.
Yes, no, but if you are preaching about legs and all of a sudden you bring hair strands.
He's showing you that he understands the Bible from, the Old Testament right into the New.
Yes, but so one thing at a time. Jesus could have preached everything on the Sermon on the Mount.
But he decided to
so since the Bank of Ghana is doing this stress test for people in the financial sector, maybe the Christian Council of Ghana and then the charismatic and Pentecostal
they
also start looking at this stress test some of the pastors and see if they can withstand religiosity.
some of the churches, if you want to patch them together, will be difficult. Like you have an Orthodox church and the Anglican church, and you want to, they'll never. I think that what
they will divided. So if the service is 1 hour, the first 30 minutes we'll do the routine Anglican things, and the other charismatic.
What will work is actually for them to start merging mechanic shops. Because sometimes you go to one shop, they don't have an electrician. You go to the other, they don't have a welder. So if we merge it, then we can have a consolidated shop.
I like how Ghanaians call them. Organizer.
Yeah, organizer and fitter.
Until I grew up and I knew it was vulcanizer, I was shocked to the bones. But anyway, AJ, how do you call them? Fitter.
How are you doing?
Shoe shine.
I call them a mechanic.
Interesting. Good one.
But interesting though, like the argument you were having this morning. In Ghana, one thing that you can never, ever have your own opinion on is religion and men of God. If you mention it, people are just going to come out.
People will slaughter you. Trust me.
And all that.
But you see, I find the Christian society a bit intolerant at certain times, where they are free to talk about gays and lesbians and criticize them and say no, blah blah blah. But if you criticize, say, okay, you're giving so much here, you're doing here, okay, prioritize and give here, you can't touch it. But then the gay and lesbian, it's their body. you too, it's your money.
That's right.
You get the point. So
Anyway.
we must find a middle ground.
Again, touch not my
anointing.
So a seed of thousands seeds. After the news,
I'm touching
after
you.
the news,
As you've been led by the Spirit to tell him.
All right.
after the news, I'll come prophesy into your lives.
I hear you.
Right.
I
So the
see.
news is coming up shortly, right after this. Let's look at the headlines for this morning. And coming up, industrial accident claims one life at a subsidiary of Malcolm Group of Companies in Accra. Electoral Commission staff who petitioned the president to remove Charlotte Osei as EC boss again petitioned the Office of Special Prosecutor to deal with dismissed EC boss for causing financial loss to the state. An energy minister has been relieved of his post. The education sector, where the Education Ministry urges University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAC, to rescind its decision to go on strike over payment of book and research allowance. In business, Ghana Free Zones Authority to the list non-performing companies registered under the Free Zones Enclave. And finally, on the foreign front, President Trump urged to stop tweeting on the Trump Tower meeting. Now, the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, has relieved the Energy Minister, Boakye Agyarko, of his duties as Energy Minister. A statement signed by the Presidency's Communications Director, Eugene Ahin, said the Land and Natural Resources Minister, John Peter Amewu, has been tasked to take over until substantive appointment is made. Boakye has come under spotlight for his involvement in the controversial renegotiated Ameri deal, which seeks to alter the original $510 million deal procured by the SWAL NDC government. However, the proposed renegotiated deal presented to Parliament as analyzed by civil society groups, including Imani Ghana, Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, Institute of Energy Security, IES, among others, has been described as worse than the original deal. In the ensuing controversy, reports emerged suggesting the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, was misled into giving an executive approval to the deal, for which reason the deal is likely to be recalled from Parliament. Pressure has since mounted on the President to sack the Energy Minister, especially when Ameri issued a statement denying knowledge of the new agreement. So on the Ameri issue, the Energy Ministry's spokesperson, Nana Damwa, has reported government spokesman on governance and legal affairs, Herbert Krapper, to the police over alleged threats on his life. Nana Damwa made the complaints to the East Legon police on Monday. It is unclear what the threats are, but there is a seeming tussle between the Energy Minister and some government appointees over the new Ameri deal, which government has withdrawn from Parliament. Our checks at the East Legon police have indicated a case of assault was filed by Nana Damwa Monday afternoon against Herbert Krapper. Now, the Vice Chairman of the Senior Staff Association of VRA, Engineer Theophilus Tete Ahia, has refuted claims by the Energy Minister that the new Ameri deal would save the country $405 million. He noted the deal would obviously lead to increase in tariffs.
It's not going to save the country $405 million. At the end of the 15 years, we are rather going to end up paying close to $1 billion to this new company. PURC tariffs dropped the tariff from 14 to 10. by 2021. And if we are going for 11 from now to the next 15 years, and in the 6th year in the original contract, the capacity charges will drop to 0. So why should we continue to pay capacity charges after the 6th year to 15 years?
Engineer Theophilus Tete Ahia indicated the deal will not only burden Ghanaians, but run down Volta River Authority as if it has no capacity to run thermal plants.
VRA is the first company to introduce thermal generation into this country, and VRA has been running aeroderivative engines since 2007. We have a station in Tema. We run the mines reserve plant that was bought for VRA, and we've run it to the point of what decommissioning. Currently, we have 138 megawatt aeroderivative engines in Tema, where VRA has been running it, and we have even expanded it. So VRA is more than efficient to run Ameri plant. Currently, VRA is even providing supervisory services to the Ameri plant.
He assured the Volta River Authority is ready to operate the Ameri power plant after the initial deal ends in 2.5 years.
Now, the headquarters of Melcom Group of Companies came under mob attack after an industrial accident at Centuries Industry, a subsidiary of Melcom Group of Companies, left a 19-year-old outsourced laborer dead. The accident prompted an attack by some persons believed to be family and friends of the deceased, while workers agitated outside the premises. Solace Rose Quarte was at the scene and has come through with the following report.
Security was tight when the news team arrived at the scene. Speaking off camera, the Kaneshie District Police Commander, Superintendent Ernest Champong, said his team arrived at the scene just after 2 p.m. and after a mob which claimed to be members of the victim's family. He added some staff and police personnel were assaulted, while vehicles on the compound were vandalized. But the agitating workers were, however, easier to control. The gates of the company were locked, with management initially refusing to shed light on what had transpired earlier. However, the communications director for the Melcom Group of Companies, Godwin Avenogbo, spoke to the news team via phone.
There are certain things that we move in terms of material, equipment, and so on, and these are heavy sometimes, so they are placed on cranes that are moved, and these are moved on rails. The crane missed one rail, and then that was what happened. And all the staff ran away to safety. The person who was hit got badly injured, was rushed to Cocoa Clinic. The family was called immediately when the accident happened. And so they rushed and met the Century Industries Limited leadership at Cocoa Clinic. So actually they were there when the announcement was made that he had finally lost his life. As the unfortunate incident that happened today.
He urged staff members as well as the victim's family to remain calm in this trying time. The deceased has been identified as 19-year-old Abdul Nasir Adam. Abdul Nasir Adam served as an outsourced contract laborer for the manufacturing company for barely a month before his death. Solace Rose Quarte, reporting for TV3, Accra.
Now, government has announced a 10% increase in salary for all public sector workers on the single spine pay policy. The implementation of the increment is expected to take effect from January 2019.
Government made announcements after 3 days of negotiations with organized labor. The new percentage increase is expected to take effect from January next year. Chief Executive Officer of Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Dr. Edward Kwapong, is hopeful the percentage increase will cushion public sector workers.
The inflation figure for 2019, the rate of inflation in the country, in the economy, will be about 7%, a single-digit percentage figure. And so when you grant 10%, then you've made a provision for even a 3% top-up in real income of employees. Otherwise, inflation will erode that, and we don't want workers to be made worse off.
An 11% increase was granted public sector workers last year. Some workers who declined to speak on camera considered the 10% increase woefully inadequate. But CEO who doubles as chairman of the Public Sector Joint Negotiation Committee disagrees.
The trend of inflation in the country is beginning to decline. I think from 15.6 in 2016, it has moved to about 10, and the projection for 2019 is 7. So if it's declining, then you don't have to stay where you were last year. Otherwise, then you are adding a burden, a wage burden on the national economy.
He requested the unions not to agitate but dialogue with government.
There is some kind of social partnership amongst the key players. So we do not foresee a union saying that what we have negotiated with the involvement of their own reps is so woefully inadequate that they are going to go on strike or something. No, it shouldn't happen.
Both the public sector pay increase and the minimum wage for 2019 have been pegged at 10%.
Now, the two Electoral Commission staff who petitioned the president to remove Charlotte Osei as EC boss have filed a petition at the Office of Special Prosecutor requesting that the dismissed EC boss be prosecuted for causing financial loss to the state, forcing Ampofo and Goswe Dajo in their petition cited the irrevoked STL Dream Oval and Quasar contracts under Charlotte Osei's tenure as suspicious deals.
Two workers of the commission also requested that criminal investigations be instituted against the former EC chairperson. They also want the acquisition of a new head office for the commission to be investigated. President Akufo-Addo on June 28 removed Charlotte Osei and her two deputies, Amadou Sule and Georgina Opoku-Amankwa, from office upon the recommendation of a committee set up by the Chief Justice to investigate separate complaints brought by some Ghanaian citizens. Charlotte Osei was accused of various procurement breaches, whilst her deputies were also found guilty of the same offences as well as financial malfeasance. The staff of the EC first petitioned President Nana Akufo-Addo in July last year to remove Charlotte Osei from office over allegations of fraud and financial malfeasance as well as abuse of office. Some of the allegations involved the unilateral award of contracts by the former EC boss in the run-up to the 2016 general elections. She also responded by making allegations of corruption against her deputies, claiming she was only being harassed because she sought to introduce systems to curb mismanagement.
So to the banking sector, where the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, says government will support well-governed and managed local banks to meet the new minimum capital requirement of 400 million cedis. His announcement follows the central bank's revocation of licenses of 5 local banks and the subsequent establishment of the new indigenous bank, the Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited.
According to the Central Bank Governor, Dr. Ernest Addison, the support will be limited to local banks that are solvent, well-governed and managed in full compliance with the Bank of Ghana's regulatory requirements and able to demonstrate that they have been unable to access private sector solutions for recapitalization due to market conditions. Banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etuahini says bailout of local banks is not new to Ghana's banking sector, but another measure by the central bank to cleanse the mess in the sector.
50 months for 400 million look unreasonable, especially looking at the capacity of our capital market. So if you tell them to go and look for money within a space of 50 months, it is not easy, especially if your previous financial figures has not been very good. You will not get any equity or private placement from overseas or anybody to give you equity. Bank of Ghana would have to devise a means where they will work consciously, profitably, with a view of paying off the bailout funds.
He explained that the 7 collapsed banks were not bailed out because they were insolvent.
I'm sure the rest are not illiquid and insolvent, except that they have challenges. Out of it, when you bail them out, you can turn them around. There's a turn-round strategy. The 5, I think it was a worst case, that if you even inject or bail out, the success looks very insignificant.
He, however, indicated that it will not be free money to the local banks, but a repayment scheme would be scheduled for them to pay back.
There will be a repayment schedule for them. So they will work and be paying the loan. And what would happen is that then they will need to look at the board practices, look at the whole corporate governance around it, because you cannot build them out with the same people sitting down there. Now that the reality of corporate governance is coming, you build people out, you have new directors, new board chairmen, new non-executive directors, executive directors, who will be protecting the interests of the taxpayer.
The Ghana Free Zones Authority intends to delist non-performing companies registered under the Free Zones Enclave. The Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Michael Ocheribefi, made this known at the launch of the Ghana Free Zones Area Investment Week celebration in Accra.
According to the Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Michael Ocheribefi, the board has decided to delist all inactive companies. 201 companies are currently registered under the enclave, of which 120 are functional.
We can only determine whether a free zone company is active or not by how many exports it's able to do within a year. You cannot just decide to not to do export and still be a free zones company. Some companies are just on paper like that. They have never done even one export before.
He said companies which fail to submit their quarterly returns will pay a $2,000 fine.
And for that matter, I can say that we are applying these sanctions strictly. Because over the years, some people will be owing us millions of dollars, and they'll come and we'll still process their things for them. Where can you find this? If the business is your business, can you run it like that?
The CEO hinted the authority would recommend the review of the Free Zones Act of 1995, which enabled the establishment of free zones to promote economic development, provide for the regulation of its activities and related purposes. The authority was instituted in August 1995.
The Ministry of Education has urged the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, to rescind its decision to go on strike. The Minister of State in charge of tertiary education, Professor Kwesi Yankah, disclosed that the sector ministry had already submitted documentation to the Finance Ministry for the payment of the 2017-2018 book and research allowance.
The University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, gave government up to July 31 to pay the 2017-2018 book and research allowance. Its leadership had served notice that members would withdraw their services by close of day on Tuesday, August 7, if their demands were not met. The Minister of State in charge of tertiary education, Professor Kwesi Yankah, explained that the ministry has already presented their documents to Finance Ministry for payment.
2 or 3 batches of these packages that they submitted. The first 2 packages have been worked on, and I told them last time they have been worked on at the Ministry of Finance. They are now moved to the Controller and Accountant Generals, where there have been a few set delays. We are asking them to just untie the red bands, as I said the last time, and wait for them to be processed at the Accountant General's Department.
He therefore pleaded with the lecturers to rescind their decision.
This is, of course, not the first time ever. It happens every now and then when there are challenges here and there. So they should bear with us in the next, I think within the next few days, this will be ready.
But President of UTAG, University of Ghana branch, Dr. Harry Agbanu, disagreed.
The money is supposed to be for the academic year 2017-2018. And we have finished. We have done our job. We have borrowed monies to do all that we needed to do to help our students and to help our institutions. So what patience, what restraint.
He warned of a possible nationwide strike from August 7 if payment is not made.
Strikes do not help anybody. They don't help us as lecturers. They don't help our institutions. They don't help our students. They don't paint any good image of our institutions. We are in a very competitive world today. Students all over the country come to our universities in Ghana. And so these students come and lecturers are on strike over what? 500 cedis. research allowance, 500 cedis for a year, and $1,500 book allowance. Is it not a joke?
The two parties pledged their commitment towards the institution of the National Research Fund.
To the foreign front, President Donald Trump has been urged to stop tweeting about the 2016 Trump Tower meeting between Trump's top advisors and several Russians. A source familiar with discussions tells CNN the president was advised that his tweeting only gives oxygen to the topic, even if those around Trump do not believe there is any truly new development. On Sunday, Trump tweeted an apparent response to stories by CNN and the Washington Post that said he is worried about Donald Trump Jr.'s legal exposure following the famous 2016 meeting. Calling the reported concerns a complete fabrication, the president acknowledged that the meeting was accepted on the premise that Trump Jr. would get dirt on Hillary Clinton. This was a meeting to get information on an opponent, totally legal and done all the time in politics, and it went nowhere. I did not know about it, the president tweeted. But that's it for the news for this morning. New Day returns shortly after the break.
Welcome back, and let's take a look now at the front pages. The Daily Guide says EC fights Charlotte Osei over V8 car, and Champonche clears air on Sovereign Bank. 7 SNIT staff in court over fake certificates, and Missile Energy cleared of tax evasion. But the screaming headline says Boachi Ejaku fired over Merry deal. The front page of the Daily Graphic says Ejaku fired. Stories on page 3. And no future role for directors, shareholders of collapsed banks, according to the Bank of Ghana. And that's it there. So if you were wondering, they have no job. The Finder says Ejaku fired. Spiogabra officially enters NDC presidential race. And Professor Alabi formally joins NDC presidential race. Government set up Citizen Commission, Pali, and principles of human rights key to Africa's development. Nana Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic, says so. The Ghanaian Times says Energy Minister sacked over new Ameri deal. Let's clamp down on inhumane activities on continent. President to African leaders. There you have it there. And finally, the BNFT, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority adjudged best in port management information systems. Okay, let's see the results on paper. Bank of Ghana partly to blame for bank's collapse. Dr. Echiahini is pointing fingers there. And e-waste to generate $100 million annually. And a Greek ministry says is making strides in armyworm fight. Well, we thought that the armyworm fight had been, yes. And there's a young man from Wahoo who did a report. I forgot his name.
Strides?
Yes. Yeah, strides. Interesting, isn't it? Yesterday, I also heard the Minister for Works and Housing, Lawyer Tacha, say, well, if you're not supposed to be paying rent in excess of 1 year. So if you pay that or somebody comes demanding that you should report, then I ask myself, Mr. Minister, who do I report to and who's taking the action? Because if somebody's, yes, but see where the MPs themselves are taking 2 years rent advance upfront, sometimes in dollars. You're wondering what gives him the impetus as an MP and minister to be making such a statement. Who do I report to? Who has he reported his to?
Okay, so anyway. I go and tell the police officer that my landlord has collected 2 years.
Yeah. And then the police says, Fanisi Kamano. The next day, somebody else comes, brings a double of what you said you won't bring. And then, because we have a housing deficit, you see, so we must be completing our processes.
It's a Tuesday, so I want to remain calm.
But anyway, what's making headlines is the fact that Boachi Ejaku has been fired over misleading the president. Exactly what he informed the president to do, say, or write is what we don't know. But I think overall, for me, the fact is, it certainly brings to light that something was happening in the Ameri deal, but it doesn't tell us moving forward how the Ameri deal is going to progress. I'm sure these are early days yet. We'll find out very soon. But I don't think him being sacked brings finality to what the issue is. And so, yes, it's okay if the president does have the right to fire anyone if he decides, but it's back to the drawing board. Did we not understand? Did we not see broader consultations before going to this? Because I thought, for one, what the MPP had said blatantly prior to coming into office was the fact that the Ameri deal had not, sought the best interest of Ghanaians. And you come back, and what baffled me was the fact that we were seeking for an extension when we're just about ending the 5-year. I mean, we're 2.5 years down the line. We thought, okay, why don't we wrap up in 5 years' time and then just do the BOT rather than extend it? And that for me was where the water became murky. It wasn't even about the figures, because as for the figures, everyone will churn out what will favor them or what they think people will buy into. But it was that confusion of why extend now if you thought it wasn't a good idea. It didn't seem to make sense. Is it that when you're in a position, you just, make so much noise about what the people in party, in government are doing, but when you come there, then everything seems to have become okay, and you're repeating the same thing, just in different semantics and different, polishing it in a different way. I think Ghanaians' interest must be sought at all times, and that's why we put these people in power. And so if you're not doing rightly that, I think you need to go.
You see, I was telling somebody over the weekend that during the Doomsok time, I think that what Dr. Kwabena Donkor and his team did was a lot of forward thinking. They did a lot of forward thinking. One of the babies of that was the Ameri deal, which was heavily criticized back in the day. But I've said that, look, all the conditionalities that existed, which we give us Doomsok, the unfortunate incident, 3 years, businesses collapsed and families lost their whatever earnings and everything else. All those conditions are still there. It's as if we're running the country on power banks. Okay, so the actual problem, which is the generation problem, because we're always told that it's not a problem of generation, but it's a problem of what? Finance. Okay, that was what Mr. Boachi Ejaku told, the regasification and all those big English that we heard. Years down the line, we're going back to the very same things that we criticized. Now, I'm saying here that an engineer friend of mine told me all the conditions that existed which gave us Doomsok, we are only window dressing the problem. We have not solved the problem. And one day it will come and bite us again. So the questions that the VRA senior staff are raising, the questions that the totality of Ghanaians are raising, the questions that the energy ministry is not answering at this point is quite worrying. Because if you have a cold store, you should be worried. If you have a small business that's coming up, you should be worried. For 3 years, if your light goes off again, your supplies will go. If you have gone to access loans to go and stock your cold store, you will be in a total mess. And those are the issues that, like Amma said, we expect people we elect and put in power to deal with, and not to tell us what the problems are. Really, I don't get it,
Johnny.
And you see, finally, Senior Brad, we're told that the vice president saw the document, read through it, and says, well, he is not the addressee, and so he is not the one to sign, and then he passed it on. And I'm saying, if that is true, the vice president saw such a major deviation or whatever it is, and then the only thing that he did, if that is so, says, I am not the addressee, let somebody else sign it. Is that it?
But you say he saw. We
no.
don't. We're
Yeah,
not
I'm saying that.
Assuming that he saw. Right, and he was able to identify what the errors were.
So, Amma, you come meet somebody breaking into your father's house, but because they have not touched your door in your father's house, so because he has not touched my door, let them break that one.
That's
Johnny,
why I'm saying we assume that he saw and understood exactly what the document.
If
right.
You see, I'm asking questions. So, what is it that Mr. Jacko has done that has been asked to leave his job?
He misled the president.
How? Because I asked the
The
president.
how is what we don't
You see,
know
I
yet.
asked the president
I have
on Twitter
issues. I have
on
issues.
Saturday.
Yeah.
I said, Mr. President, who misled you? That was prior to announcing Mr. Jakusak. I said, Mr. President, who misled you? Is the person still at post? What exactly constitutes this misleading?
You see, I have issues with this Ejako's sacking, and my reasons are, I mean, they are my opinions. I don't know if people will agree or not. See, you see, we should not take this attempt at stopping waste, okay, in this country as a joke. Everything we do must be serious. We must not be seen to be focusing on an issue which for me is trivial. Look, we have checks and balances. That's the reason why some of these things can be stopped. Look, let me liken Mr. Jakun's case to a kid in an urban home who is attending our day. Forgive me, our kids in rural areas. You might not be too conversant with our day. Over there, you don't have anything like our day. But in urban centers, our day.
Yeah.
So you do a list: pizza, chocolate, rice and chicken, Fanta, and then you have to show that to daddy to approve and buy it for you.
Exactly.
Your senior brother who's seen more of these our days is there. You bypass him. Your senior sister, she's also seen more of the our days. You bypass her too, and take this list to the old man. Daddy is putting on his socks for a board meeting, so he sees the list and says, Kwame, you give it to mommy to buy this for you. Okay, so daddy has approved it. So Kwame brings the list to mommy, and mommy said, as for your daddy, he will spoil you. This list you have done, you don't need this, you don't need this, you don't need this. So he rushes to daddy and said, Daddy, this thing that you have approved for Kwame, it's not good. He will eat too much. And so I'm going to cancel this, I'm going to cancel this, and then I'm going to buy him this. Has the kid ate?
No.
It was somebody's responsibility.
So what has Mr. Jakun done? Let's assume that Parliament is the mother. Parliament is there to check these things.
Exactly.
When the Special Initiatives Ministry, this website, 800,000, the borehole, was anybody dismissed? It was Parliament that saw that that thing was too much. The bus branding, where did we see it? Parliament. And then the money was retrieved. There are several other instances you can cite. So I am wondering, what has Mr. Jaku done until some monies might have been committed by Ghana? Then we are saying that he has done something wrong. But today, what has he done? By sending a wrong proposal to the president.
Good question.
The president has a lot of work. He sees the thing, okay, take it to mother, Parliament. Let mother take a look at it. Parliament sees it and says, look, this thing is too much. Take it back to daddy, let daddy cancel some, and bring it back.
Even before it gets to Parliament, I'm sure that Cabinet would have seen it. And once it gets to Cabinet.
Yes. So Cabinet is the big brother who you ignore.
Exactly. Once it gets to Cabinet, there are a lot of people there. The president himself has an executive secretary. It's not for nothing that the secretary to the president is a lawyer. And which for a long time we have insisted that all the secretaries to the president are lawyers, because some of these documents will come to them for executive approval. Did he see it? Well,
yes, so let us put all these persons as siblings in the house who didn't see this anomaly, if it is, and then it got to daddy. Daddy didn't see it. Mommy, women are very meticulous. Mommy saw it. Mommy is Parliament. They saw it. They said no, we can't. So take this thing back. Okay. So what has he done wrong? For me, my argument is that
I can understand where you're coming from. It's only because we don't have the information of what went wrong. But because you are the substantive minister in charge of energy, for which you should have done, the appropriate checks. Yes, we have mommy, we have daddy, we have all the other balances. But ultimately, the onus lies on you. If you're going to write an exam and you failed, we're not going to ask how your mommy trained you at home or how your teacher trained. Some responsibility also lies on you. So until we get to know the exact information.
When the borehole pricing was said to be too much, did we ask the minister in charge then to
we
leave?
didn't. but maybe just because we allowed those to go, doesn't mean we should.
We're against the toll levy because it was too much for us.
Right.
Did we ask the minister to go?
No.
So for me, it's my view. I have a
maybe
problem.
we're just setting an example out of him so that people will learn to do the right thing.
Nana Damoa is the communication specialist at the Ministry of Energy. He says that he has a few emails to share, and that Mr. Boache Jacko was not in this alone.
Okay.
So on Facebook, he put up a post. I am looking forward to those emails because nobody is explaining, what these are. So I want to know.
For me,
what happened?
The victory in this is that citizens, civil society, parliament have been able to get this reversed. Okay. In good look. This won't be the last time contract or project we see prices that are overinflated. We have to be, how do you call it? The revolutionary will say something. we had to be strong in unearthing some of these things. We cannot say that people won't do it, but our job is to make sure, civil society, parliament, is to make sure that
this
things
the
don't
government
happen.
is a listening
government. If you want to put it that way, I have a problem with Mr. Jacques.
Anyway, let's step out and rant with
998 presidential staff has nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Nothing probably will happen. But they took an example for. Anyway, let's step out and rant because some university lecturers have been demanding sexual favors from students in order to pass them. This is nothing new. It has been in the past and it still seems to continue. But I think the rot is being uncovered and there is an expose as females come forward to share exactly what these lecturers have been demanding of them. Let's rant with George this morning.
This is what it feels like. The last expose we heard about was number 12, and we are told the nation is about to experience the greatest shock in its educational sector over top respected university lecturers who have made it a consistent habit to sleep with female students for academic favor. And is this the reality on the ground? And will this expose end this practice in entirety? Let's engage some students with regards to this development. This is Daily Rant. Let's keep talking.
They are reality on the ground, but until they are substantiated, they remain allegations. So we all look forward to seeing the expose, but I have heard, I haven't seen with my eyes, so I can't say that it's true. But once I have heard, and there's going to be an expose, I think I'm very happy about that. It happens everywhere. People sleeping with students for marks or doing 1 or 2 favors for marks. It happens everywhere. We are humans. You don't know when you would even be tempted or moved to even do such a thing. Yes, but that is not to say that I do that. Yes.
It's happening. It's not even an university. It's right from the junior high schools to secondary school. To
remember the kitchen stool saga?
Yes. From JHS, it's not even sex. Let me fund you those things and then they'll pass you. Then SS starts. So it's from the bottom of the educational system. So until the bottom is eliminated, I'm not sure it will have an effect on the tertiary one. But the tertiary is happening. The boys are not really affected, but with the girls, sometimes
you see,
they're not affected because sometimes which female lecturer will come to you and tell you that
it happens.
Oh, then that female no.
You see, I know friends in other schools.
It's 90-10.
I know.
It's 90-10 or 95-5.
I think what we should be looking at is the issue of threatening. You understand? Because this happens everywhere. But the case we should be looking at is a lecturer threatening to do something harmful if the student doesn't agree to.
Okay.
But then there are cases whereby some of the female students even date these lecturers and willingly just because they want.
She's talking because if I'm dating you, there's a mutual consent. That one is different. But if you come to me to tell me that this is what is on the ground.
But there have been instances where the ladies.
That one, if a lady comes,
they don't learn.
Wait,
they approach
that one
lecturers.
Is, but some lecturers don't agree. You have lecturers who tell you no.
1 in a million.
Yes, but those who agree, that is how they are. That's what they do. Because there are some people who respect themselves. They will be at their one corner and they will be expecting you to come. But the others that don't respect themselves and will come to you. That one, there are two different people or cases here. They are the ones that would sit at their one corner and then just be fine. Oh, this girl will come to me. So those who don't want to sit down and learn. But you know, and they're the ones who would come to you. Now my focus on the ones who would come to us, not the ones that we will go to. Because when I come to you, you won't do it.
Are you?
You get it?
No. You see, if you say those who come to you, are you talking as in just male lecturers coming to you or female lecturers also coming to you?
No, me, my focus is on me. I'm being gender biased here.
No, you don't have to be.
I'm talking about me, my people.
When you always talk of rape, you expect a man to rape a man to rape a woman.
But you see,
yes, it can't be the other way around. No. You understand it? So you should look at it from both sides. You don't look at it
but the
from
majority
just one
is
side.
Us. The men going to the women is 95.
No,
okay, but do you guys see this expose to, end this in entirety? Because there's been allegations here and there, but this is more like we are giving you the evidence.
It will not end. They'll just be careful.
There have been so many exposés.
I don't believe that this expose is going to end this issue because, as my sister said, it's something that has been happening in the primary and senior high schools. And I think what we should be looking at is serious threats from these lecturers to female students. Some lecturers could go to the extent of even killing, murdering, something like, yes.
Just to close an evidence.
Yes, yes. So those are the things that we should be looking at and not just lecturer is dating a student, and so what?
You see, you didn't come to school to date a lecturer. You came to school to study.
And so what if that's my future husband?
No,
your future husband is a lecturer.
What if that lecturer is my future husband? No, let's not say that we came to school.
You see, it happens once in a while. But you see, those who are afar and are watching would have a different view of whatever is going on.
Let them have. People and their perceptions. No matter what you do, people have views about you. But the point is,
these are universities and what I mean is just the threats that we should be looking at.
Exactly.
If the video or whatever is supposed to come contains threats, then I think those lecturers should be put on.
But look at this one. Maybe there's this girl on campus, very cute. A lecturer falls in love with the girl.
Yes.
The lady passes all right, but because maybe the lady refused the lecturer's advances, the lecturer might mark the lady
then that
down.
is bad.
That is bad.
And
yes, that is when the lecturer is supposed to be.
That is bad. But what I'm saying is that this lecturer-student relationship, if it's something that is based on a good ground, as in they are looking forward to marry someday in future, that is no problem. And that shouldn't be anybody's issue.
I have no problem with lecturer-student relations, but you see, let's look at this. Most of them are married.
They're married.
Yes, and why would you have a wife?
Yes, most are single.
You see.
I think you should look
about. This is not correct, but I'm very sure that about 70% of lecturers are married. That you can't dispute. You get it? And imagine a married man coming to you.
And so that one is a different case. So if you come to me, then there's a problem. But if you are not married, okay, and then you come to me, propose love to me, I don't accept. And then you say
you
that.
See, you would accept. You would accept because
you know
you
No, that's not a favor.
Is,
And the TS put their own. Let's forget about that. Their own is another.
You see, TS have students.
No, TS forget about this.
Take it away from the lecturers.
They're their own.
No, TS have students. If a student decides to fall in love with another student,
TS are very young.
Yes.
So they can relate with the students.
Exactly. They are even more than their lectures.
No. You see, for the TS one, I think that is fine. There's no problem.
What's fine about it?
There is no problem with that. You are young. Are you married? You are not married. There are so many. It doesn't matter. I see.
Once the boss is there.
It doesn't matter. You could go on
let's say finally, let's say if the expose is out, what do you see should be done with regards in terms of sanctions? Whatever.
Sack all of them. They should sack all of them. They shouldn't teach again.
For me, I think after this expose, the best thing for the Ministry of Education in connection with the tertiary student board, what they should actually do is to curate that neutral body, if I should say, that will be in charge.
Has there been any neutral thing here in Ghana, like a neutral entity in Ghana?
There are neutral entities, but then at the end of the day, we have them, the members taking sides. So I think there should be that strict adherence to the rules that the neutral entities will have, such that these neutral entities will be in charge of this award of degrees, marks, and all of that. There should be some form of check. I mean, we should have some powerful bodies. I know, yeah, we do have them in the universities, the governing council and the rest are all there.
So maybe you are seeing maybe the results not lie entirely in the hands of lecturers.
Yes, yes.
There should be maybe a second something.
Very good.
These things have been done with time. There have been a number of bribery exposés in Ghana. We set up bodies to do investigations and then that ends it all. They just take allowances and this and that and that and then wasting state funds and all that, and nothing is done about it.
Yes, this is Ghana for you.
Yes, this is trust me. Whether this comes out or not, this is
they will still do it. They'll just be careful.
Yes,
no,
it's not about being careful.
If we're going to hotels, they will change and then
it's not about being careful, but it's going to continue no matter the bodies we set in place.
Other bodies that the results should not be in the hands of fully lecturers. See, GIJ, the results are not in the hands of fully lecturers. The lecturer gives maybe it's A. For instance, you go and then your result is there as a B. You check on your portal and it's a C or it's a D. It's not a lecturer who inputs that thing on your portal. It's someone different. How are you going to approach that person? The person will tell you different thing because it's like that. Until my problem, until we change from the JHS level or primary level, because those teachers are the ones who go up and graduate and then get a thing and become lecturers. Until it's changed from the bottom.
Okay.
Nothing can be done right now in the university system. And then we ourselves, we are bad children. So you shouldn't.
No, I don't. I think you should be talking to yourself. No, talk for yourself. I am a bad child. No.
Plus our sisters and brothers and
I
friends.
beg to differ.
We
Talk
are
for
bad
yourself.
children. Majority of us. Majority
talk
of
for
us.
yourself. I am a good boy. Talk for. No, I'm not saying. No, talk for yourself. Until you talk. No. Talk for yourself. Talk for yourself. Talk for yourself.
The parents will bring them and then don't focus. And at the end of the day, you'll be worrying someone's father. Who does that? Please change.
All right, so please change if you're watching. These are thoughts are sampled from some students of the Ghana Institute of Journalism. I know you are interested in this discussion. Just log on to our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's TV3 Ghana, and on Twitter, it's a news on TV3. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your morning.
All right, welcome back this morning. And the papers, all of them, have the Mr. Jaco's story, Daily Graphic, the Daily Guide, the Finder, the Times, and several others. That's the big one this morning. But apart from that, the Bank of Ghana is also in the news. The collapse of 5 banks into Consolidated Bank. The Guide has the EC story, Madam Charlotte over a V8 vehicle, and of course, the BNFT talks about the army worm and e-waste. These are some of the stories here. My guest this morning, from my extreme left, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program, John Kuma, is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing great.
I'm doing very well.
Thanks for your time.
There's good news in the air this evening. So
great.
Maybe you give me 1 minute to talk
I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely do that. And then Kojo Puku talks a lot about energy. He's an energy analyst. He's joining us this morning. Good morning, too.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing great.
I'm very well. How are you? It's been a while.
Yes, I have been around. You are the one missing. Good, you are back home.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming home. And then Sabi Jafi is a member of the NDC's team. He's vying for the National Communications Officer of the party.
That's correct.
Oh, okay. All right. Welcome, too. So this morning, a lot of issues about the Jaco, but let me give John a minute. John is doing disbursement this morning.
Well, His Excellency, the President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, will be disbursing to 1,350 beneficiaries of the NEIP program. When we did the first
1,200.
1,350. The funds ranges from 10,000 cedis to 100,000 Ghana cedis. When we did the first call for proposal, we received 7,000 applications throughout the country. And all the 7,000 applicants were trained. They were trained through the various hubs that we have across the country. And based on recommendations from the hubs and our own internal committees, we have settled on 1,350 businesses to receive financial support from His Excellency the President. So the event is this evening at the Jubilee House Banquet Hall. It's strictly by invitation.
5 p.m. I'm told.
5 p.m. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I want to put the good news out there before we go to the main agenda for the day.
All right. So, Beneficiary, kudos to you for your effort in getting the support. Let's see the outcome, the fruits of that.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get more information from that issue. Right. Sammy, don't worry. I also get a chance to talk about your fight for the National Communications Officer of the party. But let's start this morning. John, again, let me start with you.
Okay.
The call was for him to step down. The president has done exactly that. Let me read a bit of how the Daily Graphic put the story. It says the President Akufo-Addo has fired the Minister of Energy, Mr. Boakye Agyarko, with immediate effect. Now, a statement signed by Mr. Eugene Ahim, the Director of Communications at the Jubilee House, and issued in Accra yesterday, said the President has, by that letter dated August 6, relieved the Minister of his duties. It did not assign any reason for Mr. Agyarko's dismissal, but some governance watchers believe it may have something to do with the Africa and Middle East Resources Investment Group. That's the Mary Group deal. The Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Mr. Peter Amewu, will act, we're told, now until another energy minister is appointed. That's the story. That's how Daily Graphic put it. John, so the president has listened to the civil society?
Exactly. That was the clarion call. I listened to Newsfile this weekend, and almost all the senior journalists who were on the program were asking the president to take action in respect of this matter. His Excellency has acted. I think that the signal is very clear, especially to all of us who are appointees under his government, that you must always act within the confines of his rules. Otherwise, you be disciplined. And I think that it shows the president as a very decisive leader who will take action whenever it's necessary. And irrespective of your stature in our politics or governance, he's prepared to act. So I hope that it adds to the good culture of governance that we are all hoping to have in our country. That's the essence of democracy. People put you there on their behalf. And when the voices of the masses say that we are not happy, do A, B, C, D, and you are a listening government, that is what you do. And I think His Excellency has done well. It's not a pleasant decision. And especially those of us in the NPP and who are also part of the government, we don't hope for such to happen to any appointee. But these things are inevitable. And anytime these things happen, it shows that we have a leader who is prepared to be disciplined and to stay on track and to do what the will of the people are. So I want to commend His Excellency for his brave decision and to also encourage Honorable Agyarko to be strong. It is not the end. I mean, we have seen people who have been disciplined and yet called back to work again. It's not the end of the road. And Shakespeare said that every misfortune may be a blessing in disguise. So we should take it in our good strides and know that nobody is indispensable in life. But when the time comes, there's a lesson to learn from it, and then you move on. I want to encourage him, and especially all people who believed in his leadership, that he's still part of the NPP, he's still part of the government, and we will still, I believe, continue to rely on his wealth of knowledge, especially in the energy sector, and he'll be consulted in so many ways as we move on. So we should take it easy and follow the directions of His Excellency the
What
President.
about those who argue that Mr. Agyarko had only put in a proposal? Parliament, as an institution, its mandate is to be able to check some of these. The proposal is sent, Parliament take a look at it and say, look, this is too much, go back and come again. So the argument is that, why sack him for making a proposal?
Well, the president has so much information that may not be available to you and I. And at any point that he takes a decision, he's well informed about the circumstances of all the actions that have taken place. So let's trust the judgment of the president, who thinks that at this point in time, the best way to deal with this matter is to ask him to step aside, and then we continue to work to put the energy sector in the right track. So it's not the end, as I've said.
Okay, so we should leave that, perhaps, the reason to the president.
I think so. And
could he have been acting because of the pressure from society, civil society?
Well, I wouldn't say it's pressure. As I've told you, president has wealth of intelligence on all matters in this country, and he's briefed on all issues. So I strongly believe that he's made these decisions based on the circumstances of the matter. And we have heard about ministers suspended and getting reinstated after investigations. So let's allow the president, who at this point thinks that the energy minister must step aside. If over a time he thinks that he can play another role within the government, that will be his decision and judgment to make. But we are solidly behind the president. We think that he has been very responsive to the calls by Ghanaians, especially civil society, who thought that things haven't gone well and something needed to be done. He has done it, and I think we must commend the president for his bold step.
I'm grateful. John, Sabi, let me come to you. The minority wanted him to go. He's gone. Satisfied?
Thank you, Bright. I would like to make a couple of points, just about 4 points on this matter. And I would want to start by commending the NDC Minority Caucus in Parliament, the various civil society organizations and energy think tanks like the Institute of Energy Security, ASEP, Imani, the Senior Staff Association of VRA, and all patriotic Ghanaians who mustered the courage to speak against this dubious transaction. I salute their vigilance. I salute their courage and resilience, because in spite of the vilification, in spite of the intimidation and attacks, they stood their ground, and they've helped us to expel from government one of the chief architects of this scandalous and dubious transaction. So I would want to commend them highly for their vigilance and their resilience as far as this matter is concerned. Because you see, like I told you the last time when I was in this studio, this nation-wrecking agreement, this fraudulent agreement could have only been cooked by officials who are criminally minded, who are not mindful of the national interest, who are not mindful of the economic plight of the Ghanaian, and who only think about their pockets. And this matter speaks volumes of the pervasiveness of corruption in this government, and how certain officials of this government are hell-bent on fleecing the state coffers. And I thank the minority and all these civil society groups and all of us who exposed this fraudulent deal. You see, the deal didn't just make sense, because what the deal sought to do was to impose more electricity tariffs on the already burdened Ghanaian. And through this deal, Ghana would have lost in excess of $400 million, billions of Ghana cedis, as a result of this deal. And so this is a very serious matter, and it should not be taken lightly at all. Now, having said that, let me deal with the attempts by some people to cover up the complicity of the president in this matter. You see, the complicity of President Akufo-Addo in this fraud is glaringly clear. The evidence is there to show that the president was the chief architect. The president was the main culprit in this matter.
Sami, that the minister took a decision. The president is asked him to leave. How is that?
I will explain that to you. Like you rightly pointed out, you see, we are running an executive form of governance, the presidential form of governance. All the ministers of states we have now are representatives of the president who serve at his behest. You understand? And so no minister of state has the power to table anything before the August House of Parliament for approval until the president has given his assent. Now, we know that on the 24th of July this year, Mr. Boakye Jaku wrote to His Excellency the President requesting his approval for this novation and amendment agreement to the Mary deal. Boakye Jaku on his own did not present that agreement or that bill to Parliament. He sought the President's approval. And I have before me the President's approval dated 25th July 2018. The request went to him on the 24th of July. And with the speed of light and in record time, without any due diligence, he approved this deal. You understand? And so he cannot turn around.
So that is why you allege it.
Yes. And this is, if I can just read portions of the letter. The letter reads, I refer to your letter dated 24th July 2015 on the above subject matter. The President of the Republic has granted executive approval for the novation and amendment agreement dated July 20th. So the agreement was signed on the 20th of July. It went to the President for approval on the 24th. And in less than 24 hours, the President of the Republic of Ghana gave his approval. Today he's telling us that he was misled. How was he misled?
Well, that's not
he
official.
Couldn't. No, you know that Gabi Ochedako and the statesman are, if you like, shadow spokespersons for the President. And if you look at the 3rd August, Friday, the 3rd August edition of the statement, page 2, it is there that the President was misled. In any case, what can be the reason for the dismissal of Boakye Jaku if the President was not misled, as they claim? Now, the point I'm making here is that that position is not sincere. That position is not candid. Because if you read this letter makes reference to the novation and amendment agreement, which we all saw, which we all read. If I, as a layperson, could read that agreement and decipher that that agreement was a fraudulent agreement which was not in the interest of this country, if ASEP, if IES, if the Senior Staff Association of VRA could read that agreement and come to the conclusion that that agreement was a dubious agreement, are you telling me that the President, who is a lawyer of many years standing, who has about 40 years at the bar, a president of this, who has been in government, has a wealth of experience in government, could not see that this agreement was dubious? They should give us further and better particulars of the so-called, misleading representations that Boakye Jaku made. So we will not accept that, and we will not fall for the sham.
The firing isn't an end.
Not at all, because you see, because the President himself is the chief culprit. Again, we know. Because we've been in government before and we know the processes that, transactions like this are supposed to be subjected to. You either approve transactions like this by cabinet approval or by an executive approval. Now, the difference here is that you only resort to an executive approval when the transaction is an urgent transaction or an emergency transaction.
Do you think this is not?
It is not, because we have energy sufficiency as we speak now. We are not in doomsday. We are not in any energy crisis. So this deal should not have been subjected to an executive approval. This deal did not have the signature of the Minister of Finance. This deal did not receive the legal opinion of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. The electricity tariff proposals in there had not received the approval of the PURC. And yet the President, who is a lawyer, still went ahead to approve this deal. So I'm coming. If I can just wrap up on the second point.
Wrap up, because I want John to react before I bring.
No. He has had his time.
No. Please go on. Allegations and you won't expect me to come in.
So the deal received his tacit approval. He gave his blessing to it. And clearly, right now, what is happening is that his integrity is sinking. He's desperate to save his face. And that is why he has resorted to this face-saving gimmick by sacking Boakye Jaku. But we will not fall for that. Okay. And if I can just conclude my submission, lastly, by making my last point. You see, this whole discussion reveals the deceitfulness and the dishonesty of this government. These are the people who told us somewhere in December 2015, when the original Ameri deal was executed, that the deal was a fraudulent deal because it had been padded by an amount of $150 million. He said the deal was tainted with fraud, and that if elected, they were going to abrogate the deal. Now, Ghanaians vote for you. You come to office, you suspend payments to Ameri, you harass formal government officials who were engaged in the execution of the original deal, you constitute a 17-member committee who all drew the allowances from the state coffers. This 17-member committee traveled to Dubai to investigate Ameri at the expense of Ameri, so they conflicted themselves. At the end of the day, their work was rendered nugatory because your own Attorney General issued a legal opinion telling you that that original deal was executed in accordance with law, contrary to the claims you had made in opposition. Okay. Now, in spite of the financial loss you have caused us, you have turned around. You have betrayed the trust of the people who elected you into office, and you are rather seeking to fleece the state through this so-called renegotiated deal. Okay. But for the vigilance of civil society group, back to you. Would we be having this discussion?
Right. Sammy, I'm coming back to you. I wanted John.
If you bring Kuma in,
just a minute.
I think no. Just give me a minute. Is that a reaction? Just a quick one. I'm not getting him. I'm not getting him. Yes, I'll come to you.
If I could finish, so you react.
Relax, John. So he cites the dates from 20 to 24th to 25th. And then when it was agreed on, and suggests that because of that, the president is complicit in it. That's what I want you to
I mean, react. It's so disgusting listening to NDC, who have brought this fraud on this country. The Ameri deal. Today he's praising Imani, ASEP, and civil society for talking and raising eyebrow about Ameri. What happened under the NDC? They said they had a dead goat syndrome. They will not listen to anybody. In the midst of all the opposition and the fraud perpetuated on Ghanaians by the NDC. Ameri is not an MPP scandal. It's an NDC scandal. They brought it on Ghanaians. And it is established that Ameri was padded with an extra sum of $150 million corruption deal by the NDC government. And they sit on TV today to talk about fraud. Look, this is a government that is prepared to say we have misled or we have been misled to take a wrong step. We have reversed it. That is an honest position compared to somebody who has padded the Ameri contract with extra $150 million and has the power today to raise eyebrows.
Is it your suggestion that the date is raising suggests
but as for the dates, I don't see any difficulty. As for dates, I can assure you that it is normal practice in this government that when applications go before officers, they work within time and as quickly as possible, based on available information at any point in time. What is wrong but for the subsequent revelation of issues that came up, what would be wrong if the executive approval is given to a letter or a request by a minister within 2 days? There's nothing wrong.
John.
It is strange that people like Sami Jeffrey and the NDC now talk about dishonesty and fraud with Ameri.
Please relax. Let me bring strange. I'll come to you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, Kojo, now let's come in here.
The NDC nor the MPP should utter a word on this deal. They are as bad as each other. Okay? The NDC is as bad because they brought an ill onto Ghana. The MPP did not understand the ill that was brought into Ghana. They jumped on an euphoria and said it was a bad deal, not understanding what they are calling a bad deal. ASEP and the rest who first sounded the chord of a bad deal, even before the 150 million pardon came about. The Ameri deal that the NDC did is not a bad deal only because of the 150 million.
Right.
It's a bad deal because, one, if you look at the tariff structure, which is the 14.59 cents that Ghanaians are paying since day one of this deal, okay? It creates unnecessary burden on Ghanaians. You can't do a deal for 20 years, 20 good years. You sign an agreement to give somebody a fuel tariff of 8 cents for 20 years. At the time when you signed the agreement, fuel was between $50 and $54. But you gave somebody a constant variable of 8 cents per kilowatt hour in the fuel arrangement. So look, when some of us spoke against the Ameri deal, the original one, right. It wasn't because of politics. And the NDC, to me, doesn't have the space to criticize anything because they didn't listen when we first spoke. Okay? Now, let's fast forward. When about a week and a half ago, Ben Boachi called me and said, Kojo, have you heard that the new deal is going through Parliament? I'm like, are you serious? Let me see what the minister is sending to Parliament. He sent me the memorandum, which the minister was sending to Parliament. In less than 20 minutes of glancing through, I could point out 3 or 4 things that was wrong with that thing. Okay?
That's the renegotiated...
The renegotiated innovation deal that was being sent to Parliament. I'm like, but the minister can't be sending this to Parliament because this deal is worse than the one the NDC did. So we started working the phones. We were calling the deputy, the Honorable Jemfi, the chairman of the subcommittee, the parliamentarians we know. We were trying to tell them, look, please reject this deal because it's a very bad deal. Then we got information on Thursday evening that the minister didn't have certain documents which he was asked for. Okay, so the deal will not go through. That is when the media now picked up the story. But some of us had already been working it to stop it because we felt that the maths did not make sense. If in the business of trying to right a wrong, you now make a wrong. You see, the minister went to the president, and let me address this issue of the president being complicit. The president can't be complicit because... No. I'm not going to go on the date. Look, okay. A minister is the one being given a sector to run. He has the advice of all the technocrats and the advisors. If he goes to the president and says that, look, I'm going to make a $400 million savings within 15 years. And it turns out that there is no 400 million savings. In fact, the only savings Ghana make is 89 million in 2.5 years. The rest, we are actually losing money. Because you look at the 5 years that the Ameri deal, the existing deal was to be in place, we are paying 14.59 cents for 5 years. After 5 years, for 5 to 15 years, we'll be paying 10.4 cents. The minister gave the miscellaneous people 11.71 cents for 11 years, meaning that he gave them a full constant of 7 cents for 15 years. NDC gave 8 cents.
8 cents.
So he has reduced the full cost by 1. Then he has also reduced the capacity charge from 5.6 to 3.8. So he has also made a savings of 1.8 cents on there. So to him, in his thinking, he has done...
In the thinking of the
president. In the thinking of the minister.
Okay.
Which is what he submitted to the president. He has made a savings, but because of the timeline which you want to point out, the negotiations was finished on the 23rd. They wrote to the minister, 20th, around the 20th.
Right.
They wrote to the president. They got a reply on the 23rd. The thing was rushed to Parliament because Parliament was rising. But in the culture of these rushing things to Parliament, this thing was not a good thing for the country.
Could you let me ask you this before you continue? I hope I'm not distracting you. If somebody questions that, if a first deal was 510 and you talk about review and the figure that comes up is more than that, is it a legitimate question to ask?
Yes, because the MPP, when they said that Ghanaians have been cheated, okay, the baseline, the starting point for anybody on this Ameri deal is $350 million.
So it was overpriced.
You don't know. Basically what I'm saying is that if you campaign that there's a 150 million middleman pardon and you are against it and Ghanaians have been cheated of 150 million, your starting point in any negotiation is the 350 million that you think Ghanaians should pay. Anything more than that, you've not done the best for Ghanaians. That's the point I'm trying to make. Right. So what I'm trying to get across is that, look, let's not make this an MDC MPP matter.
You know the way.
No, but the point is that my brother my brother here wants to make it look like the NDC had a good thing for Ghana. They didn't.
It's so funny.
Look, the 14 cents that we are paying now with an 8 cents per kilowatt hour fuel is too much. And we are paying it now. And you see, they did a good thing. They took it through all the processes, got Parliament using their majority to approve it without listening. So you can't change it. The good thing for me and you, why we can discuss this deal now, and Honorable Jakun has lost his job, is because he didn't have the documents, and the president, to me, people should give him credit.
Yeah.
Because look, I can assure you that when the president was giving a second opinion, the president advised that, look, this deal shouldn't go ahead. So he was giving a second opinion.
Should he have sought for that second opinion?
No, not initially when the minister comes to him. If the president does that, he'll never run this country.
Yeah.
When your minister comes to you and you always second doubt them, you will never run this country. But when you are given the opportunity, look at the timeline. Even if this thing went to cabinet, knowing the Honorable Jakun, I know, he would have had his answers, and all his cabinet ministers would have asked him questions, he would have answered, and cabinet would have passed it. So whether he went to cabinet or not doesn't make a difference, because Honorable Jakun is very opinionated and he knows his stuff, he knows his onions. So he would have gone to cabinet and passed this thing, and all his ministers, maybe he would have gotten 100% approval. Some ministers would have had their doubts on what he's doing, but the majority would have passed it for him, and the thing would have gone through. But the president on council, when news got to him that, hey, this thing that has gone to Parliament, finance has not signed it. There is no attorney general. And people are saying that he should have known that. No, he wouldn't, because they all work in parallel. The president would know, because the law states that if something affects the government and you are sending a memo to Parliament, the finance minister should sign. So Mr. Jakun knows that, because the ECG memorandum that he took on the ECG concession, when he presented it to the subcommittee, I was there. It was signed by both ministers, finance minister and the energy minister. So he knows that.
Okay.
So if you take something to Parliament without the other signature, nobody should blame the president. He acted on the council at the time he acted on.
Could you? I'll come back to you. I want us to take a look at how to go now from where we are. But let me go to Sami. Sami, now, he's trying to explain why perhaps the president cannot, or cannot be faulted in this. And he showed you why all these.
Right. I am vehemently opposed to the views expressed by my co-panelists on this show. And I would want to start with that of my senior brother, John Kuma. You see, my goodness, right, the MPP has no shame. If John Kuma can sit in the studios of TV3 this morning and still accuse the formal NDC regime of fraud, then he has no shame. Because please, right, allow me to make my point. Allow me to make my point.
The argument is that the first deal is equally as
I'm coming to that. That is why I am saying that if he can say that, then he has no shame. Because it is not true. He is a lawyer. He knows that it is trite legal knowledge that fraud vitiates all. And if they have any evidence that the original agreement was fraught with fraud, why haven't they abrogated the agreement till date? Do you think that governance is all about talking? You accuse a company of perpetrating fraud against the state. You constitute a 17-member committee to investigate the committee. Then you go to that same committee for money to finance your trip to Dubai, to drink tea, and you tell us that that company has defrauded you? Where is the evidence that that deal was padded?
So for you, wait,
I'm making a point.
Sami, listen, so for you, it was not a bad deal.
It is not about it being a bad deal. I'm saying that it was one of their grand deceptions. It was a lie. All the things they said, that the deal was a fraudulent deal, it was a good deal. And that is what I'm explaining. You understand, right? That is what I'm explaining. Because, you see, you made a certain allegation in opposition
so
on the basis of which you were elected into office. You were elected into office. You have not been able to adduce a scintilla of evidence to buttress your claim that the deal was fraught with fraud. You have not been able to abrogate it. Rather, we have seen a legal opinion authored by your own Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Madam Gloria Kufu, giving the original deal a clean bill of health and indicating that the deal was signed in accordance with law and that there is no fraud in it. In any case, having they paid Ameri through their subcontractors, Medca, he will know, since they assumed office. They have not abrogated the 510 million.
No, John, I'm coming to you.
They have not abrogated the so-called fraudulent $510 million deal. They have paid. We paid the $102 million for the first year.
they have paid about $70 million. And you sit here and you say that the deal was a fraudulent deal when they have paid the company. What do you take us for? Do you think we are children and that we cannot read in between the lines? So that argument falls down completely. Now, let me deal with the issues that my brother raised. That, the deal was not a good deal. I don't get him saying that it was a fraudulent deal like the MPP said. He says that it wasn't a good deal because the charges were high. That is his opinion and I respect that. But I disagree. Because we explained, and we still stand by that explanation, that we did not have the money ourselves to procure that thermal plant. And that we used the BOOT methodology. What it therefore meant was that America was supposed to go and find their own money, acquire the plant, own it, operate it, generate energy for us, we sell, and then we pay them. Once you are using such a high-pitches methodology to acquire a plant, you are obviously going to pay more. Until date, nobody has been able to show any evidence or any proof that that deal was padded. So he's entitled to his opinion. He can say it was not a good deal, but we think that it was a good deal.
Right.
Now, my point of departure from him, again, is his attempt to extricate the president from blame in this matter. That will not wash because, you see, he said that immediately he read the Innovation and Amendment Agreement, he saw that there was something wrong with it.
It's just some
now, my brother, are you suggesting that the president cannot read and understand like you?
But he wasn't giving that document.
Oh, okay, no, wait.
Wasn't giving that document.
Please, he was giving the document because the letter of approval.
Hold on. There was a letter. Let me clarify. You've said something. Let me clarify it, please. The memorandum was sent to Parliament, which is a different arm of government.
No, it is not true.
Oh,
so if I can finish before you come,
let me explain. What you're saying, Parliament is a different arm of Parliament.
No. What you're saying is not even legally possible.
No, but
because before a minister can table a deal before Parliament, that deal should have received the approval of the president.
Yes, but the letter.
The approval was dated 24th July. Let me finish. Let me finish so that you can do your education.
Let me educate.
Because for me, you are not educating. You are misinforming.
I think the issue is
on this issue whether you are not getting your facts correct.
The full document. I come to you.
No. Please let me
finish.
1 minute, please.
I wanted us to
do this the memorandum which I read, which had the mistakes in there.
That's a full document.
No, that was the memorandum sent to Parliament. What the president got was a letter.
So not the document.
No, because if you read the document, if you read the letter, okay. So all right,
he says that he
there's a letter.
So in your let me deal with this. In your desperation to exonerate the president, you are worsening his position.
Okay.
What you are saying is that the president.
You think your propaganda makes the president? John, you allow. He can do his propaganda.
I can understand
do this nicely so that our viewers will get something.
You are worsening the position of the president because you are exposing the president as a very incompetent leader. You are saying that the president just read a letter without the benefit of reviewing an agreement and gave his blessing for an agreement he had not seen. That is what you are saying.
Because
what you are saying is even a lie. So I will explain to you why that is a lie. Now let me read this letter to you. He says, the President of the Republic of Ghana has granted executive approval for the novation, it doesn't refer to a letter, for the novation and amendment agreement dated July 20, 2018 between the government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Minister for Energy, or his authorized representative, the Volta River Authority VRA, Africa and Middle East Resources Investment Group, Ameri Energy Power Equipment Trading LLC, Power Projects, blah, blah, blah. And it says Miscellaneous International Trading Company for the operation and maintenance of the existing 250
So based on this, you think you saw the
document? Not about heading. That is the meaning.
Read the heading of the letter.
Please, request, the heading is this. You are still worsening your position, my brother. You cannot defend it indefensible. I will read the heading to you again. Because facts no lie. You see, he says, request for executive approval, novation an amendment agreement of the Build, Own, Operate and Transfer BOT agreement between the government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Power, and Africa and Middle East Resources Investment Group, Ameri Energy. So you see,
so what's your interpretation of that?
It wrong.
So let me make it wrong. I'm coming to my point. Can I make my point? Your argument is that the letter is referring to the agreement.
Yes.
So the president saw the document.
That is your argument. I have read it to you. Fact and sacred right. And the president did not give. The president did not approve a letter. The president approved the letter. An agreement. So to sit here and suggest that the president was so ignorant that he just read a letter without the benefiting of reviewing the agreement and actually gave executive approval for the agreement, you are worsening the position of the president. That is not fair to the president.
Okay.
Now the point I am making here, please, I was quiet when they were speaking. Right. Let me make my final point. Let me make my final point. You see,
I don't have a lot of time.
I still maintain that the president is complicit in the matter, because the same document which was submitted to him was the same document we all reviewed.
We have heard you.
And if we as lay persons, yes, and again, you see, the timing of this whole issue is what worries me. It is what I find painful. Right. We are living in a country today where sick people are lying on bare floors in a hospital. We are living in a country today where the vast majority of our people are still hewers of food and water. The economic conditions of the people of this country are not sick people
in this country.
Instead of you to concentrate on the
have?
concrete problems affecting the Ghanaian populace and resolving these conditions so that we can have some relief, you are thinking about how you can steal from the people of this country. But for civil society organizations, is that negative?
Sammy,
is this not negative?
You can make your point without impeding.
No, but don't worry about that. Allow me to respond to it. So won't you allow
Sammy, let me get John to react. Sammy, you have made your point. Let me get John.
Let's not destroy the program. You have made your point. But you see clearly.
You were interjecting me, but you know the last time you were here, you lied that you have constructed 19 factories.
The president has even been to 36. Let me tell you.
Please allow John.
Sammy, you have gone about lying on all networks that I have put out a lie. The last time I gave you a video, and I hope that you play the video for him to see. I am not like the NDC who will put out artistic impression of projects. Okay? Yesterday the president put out 36 in different stages. I even put out 19. We are not like the NDC. They are going to see the projects. Now, back to the fraud of the NDC. And everybody knows that every independent observer, and even on this program, can attest to the fact that His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is incorruptible. And the NDC is fraudulent. Ameridi is an NDC fraud. Let me tell you, first of all, NDC must not compare themselves to NPP. In the first place, there is no deal. As far as the NPP government is concerned, there is no deal. So they cannot even begin to compare their fraud to please allow these are processes that must end in something. Okay? And he says that somebody is a lawyer. He is also becoming a lawyer if he's not already a lawyer. Yes, I'm a lawyer. So you will learn very soon that processes leading to a contract is not a contract. Yes.
And fraud is not a vitiating factor anymore.
Look, a fraud that is approved by your own parliament cannot be vitiated ordinarily. So let me tell you, they have perpetuated fraud on Ghanaians. And everybody knows the cost of this Ameri deal and how much they are charging us for. But unfortunately, with their majority in parliament, what did they do? Now he's talking about the fact that because they have approved and all legal processes have been followed, and we cannot set aside with that judgment dead, so there is no fraud. There is massive fraud. Okay. Look, compare that. I'm coming.
Quickly wrap up. Let me get
wrapping up.
I want us to take a look at
wrapping up. It's like what my brother said. When they got to know about the deal going to parliament, they raised red flags. Right. Now, assuming parliament had gone about in the Yentie mood of the NDC and approved this second deal, then even though there will be fraudulent indications in the contract, we couldn't do anything about it because we have ratified them. Now the NDC, I'm coming. So finally, the NDC, even though they knew the Ameri deal was fraudulent, they went ahead to bamboozle their way through their majority in parliament and approved it. So the NDC has no morality. All that has happened.
Gentlemen politicians, your microphones are off. You're only talking. Your microphones are off.
I'm just wrapping up.
No, your microphones are off. Let me get Kojo to wrap up. Gentlemen, Kojo.
I like to educate.
Kojo, yes, let's quickly wrap up for me. We don't have a lot of time.
My brother Jonty said that because the deal was approved, what I spoke of the 8 cents was just the full charge. What the deal take care of the recovery. Look, initially when it came up that the NDC have done this deal, back in 2015, 2014, I was on every platform defending the Mary deal because I thought as a businessman, if you don't have money and you go into the market, you don't have money, and somebody is able to give you a machine, to deliver the machine in record time. Because before we all made this noise, the Mary had already delivered the machine to Ghana. So
that was not fraud.
No. My brother, don't put somebody's words.
Don't get distracted.
What I'm saying is that there was a capacity charge that takes care of the cost recovery. So that is not the 8 cents that I was talking about. Okay. But let me now end this and say, look, both are as bad as each other.
How do we?
Well, we don't have a deal.
No.
We don't even have a deal.
No. Gentlemen, we don't even have a deal. So why would we be bad? These are gentlemen politicians. They must allow Kojo to talk. Kojo, how do we move? Yes.
Let me tell you.
We don't have
$500 million. Like for your vigilance. And you want to equalize? No.
You want to rationalize? John and Sammy, please. Let's allow Kojo to talk.
Let me listen.
Kojo, wait for
it's not about lying and shouting. Stop that agreement. This agreement is worse than original.
It's not about shouting and lying.
No.
You know that you are worse off. You have signed a fraudulent agreement.
Gentlemen, I have to wrap up the conversation.
And he knows that America is fraudulent. They signed a fraudulent
deal. He's a chief executive.
That's a step to
is what we are voting here. And Sammy Jenfi is a member of the NDC. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up the conversation. Stay here. There is pause after this.
Welcome. Let's talk about the Glow Laughter Fest. And I've been joined by the delectable, beautiful actress Martha Nkrumah and my rib cracker extraordinaire, Foster Romanus. Gentlemen, lady, welcome. Good morning. How you doing? Martha, it's been a while. You look wonderful.
You look good too.
Yeah, we're trying to learn from Foster. So there's so much buzz in town about the Glow Laughter Fest. What exactly is it?
Okay, so Glow Laughter Fest is the biggest comedy event that is about to happen in Ghana, and it's happening this very Sunday. This is something that no network has ever done it before, even on this planet, apart from Glow. We are making you laugh out your problems. Oh yeah, and it costs nothing. You know, some people will actually charge a lot of money for you to come and laugh.
Right.
But Glow is taking nothing from you.
Free?
Oh yeah, it's free. I call it free. Or Romanus, what do you say? Okay. It's free. It's free. It's free. And we'll get to the details.
We'll get to the details. Yeah. Where's it happening? I'm curious. Where are we converging for free?
Well, it's at the Fantasy Dome.
Okay.
You know, because the package is too big. We need a very large venue. So we are trying to we wanted to get a stadium, but they said the grass and all. So we had to look for, and then we chose a Fantasy Dome because we want as many Ghanaians as possible to be there. So it's at the Fantasy Dome on Sunday.
4 p.m.
4 p.m. Okay. For Glow subscribers, how do they participate?
Okay, so you just have to dial the *5301# and use just 20 Ghana cedis for voice calls.
Okay, you need to speak slowly like a Ghanaian.
Okay.
You dial what?
*5301#.
Okay.
*5301#.
Okay.
*5301#.
Okay.
And just use 20 Ghana cedis for voice calls or 30 Ghana cedis for data and voice calls.
Okay.
No, let's be real. Come and laugh for free. You have superstars like Professor Foster Romanus. You have DKB. You have Jacinta. You have Senator. You have Chemical. You have Uganda. You have all these wonderful stars coming on this platform.
Okay.
And you're not spending money.
Nothing at all.
20 Ghana cedis.
So for Glow users, you have to use the short code *5301#.
Yeah.
Use 20 CDs on voice
and 30 Ghana cedis for data and voice. That's all.
If I'm not a Glow subscriber, how do I get involved?
Oh, that's not quite the easiest. Just get a car from wherever you are.
Come with your family.
Drive sign, locate Fantasy Dome. When you get to Fantasy Dome, just walk to the gate and say, I'm buying a Glow SIM.
Okay.
The SIM already has all the data on it. So once you get the SIM, you get your entry, and then later you can register and use the data.
But how would I know if I'm already a Glow user? How would I know if I'm qualified?
Oh, you'll be sent a message.
Oh, you'll send a message
that you've been invited as a special guest for the Glow Laughter Fest show on Sunday the 12th of longest.
Martha, what did you give Foster?
You know, like
Glow, we take care of our superstars.
Yeah.
Glow is the network.
You're going to say?
And also, let's say we're going to call you. We'll call you.
Okay.
We just don't send messages.
Okay.
Our customers are our priorities. We take care of them. We love them. We treat them well. So apart from we sending you messages, we give you a call.
Okay.
Sweetie, you've won the ticket for Glow Laughter Fest. Come and laugh with your friends and family.
I see. But this covers friends and families as well. How does it extend to them?
Everybody, once you get a text message,
so you get a text message, or we call you to come for your tickets because you are using 20 Ghana cedis or 30 Ghana cedis for the data and the voice call. You can also come with your friends and family can also come with you. They get the Glow SIM bundled already, which costs like 30 Ghana cedis. So they get to come and watch watch all these beautiful faces you have there, so that they get to laugh out their ribs and all that.
Right.
But the truth is, it's not expensive. It's just 20 Ghana cedis.
20 cedis.
It's just 30 Ghana cedis. You spend on data, and let's be real. We are taking 20 Ghana cedis from you, and it's not like we are taking it from you, but you are spending it on data and voice. So you just buy a Glow credit, and the 20 Ghana cedis, you call me. You call your beautiful wife you just got married to. You call Foster to laugh. You call your friends and colleagues. You even call your enemies to ask them of your money. Think about it.
And then you should also know that Glow is they are the data masters. You know, their data is relatively the cheapest in town.
Let's talk about. So this is the Glow Laughter Fest, the first one. Are there other shows coming up that we should look for?
There are 5 shows in all.
So
the next one is a music show. That's
I like that one. I like music. That's too as well as comedy.
And then the next one is another comedy show. And another music. Then the last one
is a combo.
Is both comedy and music.
So there's comedy, music, music, and a
comedy
combo.
music.
Wow.
From
and
now
the music
till
show
October.
It's so huge. It's so big because we are bringing all those music stars you can imagine.
Name them.
Davido, Sarkodie,
Stoneboy, Patapizzi, Kwame Eugene, Davido,
Wizkid.
All of them,
would love to be
even
there.
me as a musician.
So can I attend all 5 shows?
Yes, it's possible.
There's
Why
no
not?
limitation at all. No limitation.
As long as you use the 20 Ghana cedis for your voice calls and 30 Ghana cedis for
Just
data
keep your
and voice.
SIM active.
That's
solid.
all.
So come Sunday, we're going to meet at the Fantasy Dome.
Yes,
it's at 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
And all I need to do is to dial star
5301 hash.
Okay. And then I am sorted. I'm connected.
Sorted
That's
out.
absolutely free. Who's going to be there? Foster is going to be there.
DKB, Jacinta, Chemical, Seneca,
Chemical.
Danda Humors, Bovi, Basket Mouth, and then from Uganda we have Salvador.
All of it.
They are going to
for
be
free.
there. For free.
God damn, it's a lie.
For free. It's not a lie. Sweetie, listen. You know some companies that CSR project and all that. We are not just giving back to the society with all whatever we do in town, but we are making you laugh. There's so much pressure in town. You gotta laugh it out.
We're gonna be laughing, and if you haven't got your Glow SIM yet, go get it now. And simple as that, dial star 5301 hash and participate. 20 Ghana cedis for voice calls, 30 for data,
and
you're
voice.
hooked on, and you enjoy all 5 shows for free. My name is Johnny Hughes. I've been hanging out with Martha Nkuma and Foster Romanos.
That's all.
Rave Kaka Extraordinary. See you Sunday.
And this year, the first global competition will be taking place in Mexico and will be represented by an all-female team coming from the best school, Wesley Girls. And they're here to explain to us exactly what they're going to be doing when they go to Mexico to represent Ghana this year. Good morning for you, and Dillis.
Good morning.
So I can see some gadgets and some things that are supposed to move about. Can you tell us exactly what this is and what you intend to do with it?
Okay, thank you very much. So this are robots, and it's known as the butterfly, due to the fact that it went through many stages before we got to this stage.
Okay.
Yes. So our robots is supposed to help in the production of energy, because this year's competition is themed Energy Impact. So we are going to explore different forms of energy production, from solar energy to wind energy to nuclear energy.
Okay.
Yes. So based on the different types of energy we've been given, we as a team are supposed to decide which one gives maximum production of energy.
Right.
Yes. So from the points that are given during the competition, you'd realize that solar energy and the reaction energy that's based on nuclear energy are supposed to give us the most points.
Okay.
Yes. So the whole idea behind this is to help us know that, oh, solar energy can give us more energy. So maybe as a country, we'll work towards exploring solar energy in the production of our electricity. Yes.
Okay, great. But you did this whilst you were in school, under the, mentorship of STEM Bees. How difficult is it to balance what you're studying and also making time to fix this?
Okay, so our school routine is kind of like rigid. So you have to find every little time you can to, but then our school was quite supportive, giving us time and then letting us not participate in some events so that we can work on the robot.
So you're exempt from certain things so that you could take care of this. So how long did it take you to put the butterfly together?
It's taken us some time because we had to change our different designs. Because once you make one design, then you realize that there are some limitations to it. So you have to change it into something else. But this robot in particular took us a week.
Okay. Yes. So very interesting because you've dedicated time to doing this. But in order to get to Mexico, how are you going? Is it self-funded? Do you need support? How far has that come?
Yes. So for this whole trip, we're a team of 4.
Okay.
And we'll be needing $25,000 for the whole competition. And so far, we've raised about $16,000, which
is not enough. Then you still need more.
Because it's paying for our accommodation. It's a week, the whole trip. From our plane tickets to our accommodation to the gear that they'll be giving us during the competition.
Right. Yes. So I'm sure you're counting on Ghanaians to be of support to get, and I'm sure many Ghanaians out there will be willing to support because this will put us on that international front, and hopefully you go back and come with the prize. So can you demonstrate just a bit exactly how this works?
Sure. Move down.
Okay.
Start B.
Start B.
I hope you're not going to bomb the place anyway.
Not at all.
Let me hold it for you.
Okay. So as you're going through, if you could walk us through, why do you need the console, the tablet, and everything?
Okay.
Because obviously it's not connected. So how do you sync it?
So the control hub, that's the brain of this robot, sends a Wi-Fi signal to this tablet. So the Wi-Fi, like the tablet will connect to it.
Okay.
Then it will be able to communicate. So the program that we put on the tablet will be sent to the robot through the control hub and to be able to do whatever we tell it to.
Nice.
So we use a programming language known as Blockly. It's a form of Java.
But you had to learn, you see, so now you're even adding more to your trouble. You had to learn all this.
Yes, please.
When and how did you get to that?
We started about 2 months ago. Yes. So we had a day's training time and we used it to learn the basics of Blockly. But we have a main programmer, she's not here, Enam. Yes, she's in charge of all those things. So we all learned the programming language, but we chose her as the person who would program for us.
To do the program.
Yes, please.
Right. And so you've added value to yourself. Certainly after this, I'm sure you develop interest to make more robots, not only this. But if it's ready to move, I'm sure you'd want to demonstrate exactly how that goes. But whilst we wait, whilst Dillis tries to set up your whole thing, kindly ask, appeal for fans for you to be able to travel, because you need that. Without that, your robot will stay in Ghana and not be able to show off in Mexico.
Yes. So as I said earlier, we've only raised about $16,000, and the main target for this whole competition is $25,000. So I'm appealing to Ghanaians everywhere. I'm sure it's a big surprise that girls have been able to build something like this. So if we have been able to build something like this, we should know that our future is bright. So I'm appealing to all Ghanaians out there to fund us so that I'll be able to go for this competition and make Ghana proud.
Okay, but Dillis and Foriwa were here yesterday and they showed us a bit of how this gadget moves. And so we'll watch that and come back to wrap up with them.
Between August 15 and 18 in Mexico, participants from more than 160 countries will solve energy efficiency problems with robots created by students. In an interview with TV3, Foriwa, team leader of the Ghana all-girls robotics team, shared the motivation.
So our robot is supposed to collect fuel cubes and deposit them into power generators So we are building a robot that can be able to pick up the cubes. We have an arm and a sucking mechanism. So the sucking mechanism sucks the cubes in, and the arm is able to lift the cubes up to a goal that's higher than the ground. So that's what we are working on right now. So that's the robot moving, and that's the cube that we are supposed to suck in.
No. Wait, hold on. Start in.
Okay, so the robot is attempting to move now, but I'm sure those are some of the challenges you have when it comes to electronics.
Yes. Wait, which one did you configure?
This one.
Yeah. Okay.
So start B.
Well, it's vibrating like that. I don't think I want to be here though, but
start B.
Okay.
So start B.
Do you need me to help you with a tablet?
Okay.
If that will be easier on you.
Move the arm up.
Move the arm.
So that's the arm.
Yes.
Okay. Is it supposed to come and pick you?
So it might fall off. Suck this one. The platform isn't big enough.
The platform is not big enough. But I'm sure viewers have seen firsthand how it's supposed to work from that except we show them. And we hope that they will be of support to you to be able to... Well, I hope you suck my whole set.
Yes,
but interestingly, he has taken the box. Okay. And so you would show it where to deposit that cube, isn't it? Okay. Nice. And we're very proud of you because, I mean, doing this whilst in school certainly did take some time off your regular schedules, but you were able to make
you
it.
Have to say that.
And I'm sure you believe this would win.
Yes.
Very
we
well.
We just have to make a few changes.
Adjustments to it. Certainly, we want to wish you all the very best, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from Ghanaians, well-meaning Ghanaians who would want to support your project so that you can make up the 9,000 remainder and make it your trip in August. What date is it?
It's from the 15th to the 19th of August.
So we've got about 9 days to go. And so viewers, let's kindly support these young ladies. So I had Foriwa and Dillis of Wesley Girls High School, and they've been mentored by STEMBs to get this far. They're going to represent Ghana in Mexico on the 1st, August 15th.
To the 19th.
I think 19th. That's a whole week celebration, and they're asking for us to support because they need funds to be able to make this trip and to be able to set Ghana on that global standard. On that note, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Yesterday, the Republic of Ghana had a very, if you like, much anticipated, or shall I say, shocking announcement from the presidency. The Minister for Energy, Mr. Boakye Jacko, has been asked to go home. His job has been taken over now temporarily by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Mel. But a few facts about the timeline of proposed new Ameri deal, the Ameri deal 2, which has brought up a lot of the conversation. Government, under a certificate of urgency, brought to Parliament a review of the Ameri deal. Now, government also introduced a new company, Mytilenius International Trading Company Limited. And Mytilenius was to take over the interest of Ameri with an extended period of 15 years. The new company offered to pay Ameri an amount of 52 million and in excess of that, with government paying the remaining 39 million cedis. So the conversation started along these lines. And then government will now have to buy the power at a reduced rate from 14.591 cents to 11.7125 cents per kilowatt. This will lead to a savings of 405.067 million or in excess of that. Government said the revised deal will save the country some 400 million over the past the 15-year period. VRA and civil society groups kicked against the deal, saying the new deal was worse than the former. We're being joined here in studio by some senior staff groups, or if you like, the VRA staff groups. I've been joined by Deku Francis Kwame with the Akuse branch. He's the chairman there. Chief, good morning. Thank you very much. And also Odro Prince Frimpong is the branch chairman of the Senior Staff Association. Gentlemen, welcome. Good morning. So this Ameri deal, the minister, first of all, your initial reactions, the minister has been asked to go home. Does that settle the dust for you? I'll start with you, Odrofin.
Well, what we will say is that yes, we are happy that the minister, has been dismissed. But we will not say that we are happy because he is dismissed. We are happy because the deal that is supposed to impose certain liabilities on VRA, as a corporate entity, and the nation, at large, will be reduced, and that is why we are here. That is why we raise the red flag, against the New Deal.
This red flag, this voice that you're pushing out now, sounds a bit louder than the initial one. What do you know that we don't know?
It's a bit of a mixed feeling though. Now, all what we did was just to look at the document.
Okay.
Now, looking at the document, like you did rightly say, one of the driving factors has to do with the $405 million US savings that it is captured in there that we're going to make. On the face of it, it sounds so. But when you do critical analysis of the figures, you tend to see that it is not entirely true.
Somebody is not telling the truth.
The calculations, the way it's required for it to be done, it's not captured as it is. Let me just give you
give me a gist of that.
Weaknesses in the tabulations. Now, you have a contract. Where the contract is saying that you are running for 5 years. After 5 years, then the plant is taken over, quote unquote, by VRE. In the tariff, in the tariff build-up, it's more of somebody who has put in money there that he has to recoup his money back, and we call that capacity charges. The capacity charges, the way it has been designed, we have the capital recovery component, and we have the fixed operation and maintenance component. That works out to 8.5 million every month. Now, the legal arrangement as it is, by the 5th year, they would have recouped the capital recovery charges. Now, thereafter, is given to VRA, and so what you are going to maintain in running the plant happens to be the fixed operation and maintenance component. In their tabulation, they ended up running it through with the entire total capacity charges, with the capital recovery component being inclusive.
That's more like double cost.
Oh yes, being inclusive.
But was there no consultation at any point with VRA, knowing that you are providing technical support now to the now Ameri deal, and you will take over? Was there no consultation?
Documents we've chanced upon suggest that there was some consultation from the leadership perspective, and the document clearly did some modeling using appraisals, and when they came out with the modeling, on the face of it, they had 5 clear models, and the options were clear. Now, for the 5 options, the very first one suggests and it shows that maintain the Ameri deal as it is. Then 5 years thereafter, you take it. That happens to be the cheapest. As against the last option, the last option looks more of the one that they have accepted, and it is quite expensive. And the advice then was that they should maintain the deal as it is, because there was one other critical point in there. Now, what we have is what we call overcapacity in generation. Now, overcapacity in generation simply means that you have so many plants in the system that if you want to run, the will be generating more than what we require.
Let me come to you, Odrofin Paul Prince. So there's then the public perception that when the initial Ameri deal came, the first one, which is now in operation, which will end in the next 2.5 years, you didn't make such noises, even though Ghanaians also were worried about it. Why the noise now?
Okay, thank you very much. Not that we didn't make noise. We made a lot of noise. But then, VRA as a corporate entity has, the mode of a problem, resolving lines. We exhausted them. At the point, I remember our leadership met the board of directors and made a presentation. But as it were, if the minister or whoever is in control says he will not mind you, he will not mind you. Okay, and so the deal was signed. The deal imposed a certain liabilities, for VRA. We kept quiet because the understanding was that, as he said, we were operating, or we were going to operate the plant, for 5 years. After which it becomes the property of the government, and for that matter, government will not operate it, and so we'll transfer it to VRA. So we're using the service of the debt as if we're going to buy. Okay. So we kept quiet, and we also, as I said, we also had the right of reimbursement. Okay. You incur the cost, the government will promise to pay, but it became a father-son arrangement. Okay. If your father owes you, and you say you need your money, okay, this is what I have to take it. I'll give the remaining maybe later. If 2, 3 days, 4, 5 days, he's not bringing it to you, what would you do? And so we have a lot of debt sitting in the books of VRA.
How much money are we talking about?
Well, let me give you a simple calculation, and then you have a fair idea. Okay. Now, as he said, the actual deal, the tariff that was given to Mary, for 5 years, was 14.5918 cents. Okay. Okay. Per every kilowatt hour of power. Okay, and VRA had the responsibility to buy, at that rate and sell it to ECG at 5 cents. Okay, and so for every 1 kilowatt hour generated by Ameri, VRA had a cost of difference of 14.9 and 5. Okay, and that is the shortfall that we're paying.
You're paying, so you're running at a loss.
We were each day we're running at a loss.
We're still running at a loss.
Still.
And it amounts to, let me just add a figure. It amounts to $11.2 million each month.
$11.2 million.
Yes,
each month.
Yes,
that's what we pay.
How much we pay.
So now where do we go from here? The minister has gone. The deal has been shut down. I've had some divergent views on the side. But where do we go from here, Deku?
Honestly, we think the Ameri deal itself has challenges, has its own problems. But under the circumstances as it is, we've signed on to it anyway. Okay. I learned the legal framework, how it has been couched. It makes it difficult for us to undo the way it is. So it's more of an albatross around our neck. So the issues are simple. Right. We maintain it as it is. Okay? 5 years thereafter, we have our plant.
That's 2.5 years away
from now. We have our plant. Let's be very objective in discussing some of these issues. Remember, until recently, there was an issue about the previous government ceding T3 to Ameri. That was when we started approaching the issues this way. So we did about the same thing, prepared a document and laid it out. The government then, we met their leadership, the leadership of NDC, met the leadership of MPP, and they mutually agreed in principle. Look, there are good people within the two parties in a way.
So who are the bad people who
So all what I'm driving at is that there was an attempt, a clear attempt to see how best they can unravel the issues around Ameri.
Okay.
And that is what they sought to do.
Is there
But then, we've come to realize that this deal is worse.
You are
so
the,
bad.
You are the technocrats. You see the deal. You see the figures. You see how much we're losing. Would you say that the politicians do not put us first? Would you say that? From a technocrat's point of view, you know, this is how much we buy it, this is how much we sell it to ECG, this is how much we're losing, this is the advice we have given them, they have not taken this advice. Would you say definitely that the politicians on both sides does not place Ghana first when it comes to some of these matters?
We are not here to run down.
Well, I'm not asking you to run down.
No,
anybody.
but
I'm saying that
we are only looking at we are only looking at the figures.
So
there were some errors.
So when you look at the figures, when you look at the figures and you look at how much we're losing as a nation,
yes,
and based on contrary advice that you offered soundly as a technocrat, would you say that the politician on both ends, NDC, MPP, do they place Ghana first?
Well, to a large extent, some yes, some no. Yes, because the deal itself was bad.
Okay.
But then we didn't have any option.
Okay.
So we had to manage it.
You were not given a chance to take the decision.
We were not given. All honestly, because at the time, I remember, some consultations were made. And as to whether the then minister took the advice or not, it's a problem.
But was it your leadership at the time who couldn't stamp their feet on the decisions that you took as technocrats?
What we are doing now, in quote, is more of the unusual part of VRE staff.
Absolutely.
What we are doing now, and sometimes we see ourselves as maybe putting ourselves in a manner that is, ultra-virus to the rules and regulations.
We've run out of time.
So we don't want to go there.
We've run out of time. Let me ask you a definite question. Let's just yes or no. Is the deal good? Is it bad? Do we need to continue with it?
If you ask me this,
yes, I'm asking you.
And this is our answer.
Okay.
The deal is bad.
The deal is bad. Deku?
Yeah. Very bad.
The deal is bad. So we should not touch it. I thank you very much.
It's not good.
Okay, I hear you. Deku Francis Kwame is with the Akuse branch. Is the chairman of the Senior Staff Association. Deku, I thank you very much for your time. And Odro Prince Frimpong is the Tema branch chairman of the Senior Staff Association of the VRE staff groups. Gentlemen, thank you very much. And they're sounding a call. The deal is bad. From a technocrat's point of view, don't touch it. The minister is gone. Does he settle the dust? Well, the minister says after the dust is settled, he will speak. We wait for his words. But that's how the cookie crumbles here. Tuesday morning, our new day. We'll be back again tomorrow. Enjoy your day and win.